Hello, welcome to today's 5 o'clock club. My name is Reenal Parikh and I'll be the host for today's presentation. So glad you guys can all join me. The weather is terrible. What a great week we are having with all the snow and ice storm, but I promise it's going to be a wonderful hour with me. I'm a fine artist and my work is influenced by Indian folk art, and today's presentation is about writing a novel through the paintings. It's a Warli folk style presentation, and in this talk I'll talk about the history, the origin, the methodology, and my adaptation of this ancient Indian folk art. So before I start, let me introduce my niece who is going to help me film the whole thing and say hi to Dhwani.
Hey!
So here we are. And before we start a presentation, I am also one of the board members for Rittenhouse Fine Arts Square art show, and our September application is now open, so I hope you all have applied. The application is available through Zapplication and our deadline is March 8th. It is one of the top show in the country, so I hope you all go and you all apply. So hope to see you here in September. So now let's start the presentation. Warli, writing a novel through a painting, and it is very dear and near style of painting for me, and I'll explain you in a while about the painting, and we'll give you a little tour of my studio and how it is so exciting to paint this style of folk art. But first, let me tell you a little background about me. I'm a passionate artist, but my education is in biochemistry. So to me, I get excited when the science come in. And Warli is all about meeting science and art, and I'll explain you shortly. But let's take a little tour of my studio. Here are some of my recent painting. This one is Warli style of painting, and it's called Volleyball Party at the Beach. Now, Warli is a very two-dimensional art, and there's no perspective, there's no proportion, and there is a linear pattern to the style and the repeated use of triangle. And by joining two triangles at the point, it creates the equilibrium and give the motion to the characters. So you will see all the animals, all the humans, they're all made up of triangle. And also harmonize. It shows the balance of universe. So here's a small painting, it's called Celebration. Now, Warli is one of the oldest form of art in history and one of the oldest form in India. It's done by the tribal called Warlis, and they're how should I put it? They belong to a rural part of India, and they paint from what they see. It's a community art, and the shapes or basic alphabet of this style is circles and triangles. And circles was from their observation of sun and moon, and the triangles were from their observations of pointed trees and mountains. The only shape that is used is square, and that is believed to be invented by human, and it is believed that it might be representing a piece of land or showed their property, like marking lines, and that's why it's square. So most paintings are done on square. It is also a mural form of art, and I'll talk about that in a little bit while I explain you my background and how I create the texture effect. But what's going on?
Now I think we're good. It's just some glitch probably.
All right. So here, this was done at Community Art Center of Wallingford, and it was a live painting. It was jazz night, and the inspiration was the stage and the dance floor. So I chose a square triangle to represent the tent. As you can see, it's bordered like a tent, and then there's a stage where the musician is playing music. There's this dance floor open for people to dance, and as you can see, each and every form is a repetition. There's a circle, square, circle, and every form has a different perspective. So here you can see there's some aerial view, and then it comes the viewer's view. So here is a dance floor, people are dancing, and then there's a lot of activity going around the painting, the dance floor. There are some, shy dancers, the corner dancers, there's squirrel running around, there's dogs, family, kids are playing, the dogs are there. Here is a little dancer, there's a little couple, and then in the corner somebody's playing their own music, and my favorite, balloon man. I grew up in India and we had a lot of balloon men. Every party we will have a balloon man. So here he is. So it's what is it? Oh, here's my husband.
Question: What tools do you use to get so much small detail in the painting?
So I use acrylic paint, and everything is painted with 000 brush. I sometimes go as big as number 0 brush, and let me show you some of my tools here. So, Duane, if you can come closer. This is one of my favorite brush. It is 1/3 of a 0. This is one of my bigger brush, that's 0. So normally it's between these two are the brushes that I use normally to paint. So now I would like to, these are some of my colorful paintings. These are kalamkari form of Indian folk art. I won't go too much in detail with this painting, but this is more of a fabric painting. That's like traditionally it's done as a fabric painting in India. So now here's another one of my favorite. It's Soaring. And this painting is inspired by my backyard. And we have a lot of trees and a nature trail. And I see birds sitting on the tree, and all of a sudden they will fly at the same time. And it just gives me a sense of liberation seeing them all flying together. And that's what I was trying to capture through this painting. So you can see there's a tree, and then the birds are flying everywhere. Here's another one that I would like to show you guys and talk to you a little bit more about Warli. So as I mentioned that it is one of the oldest form of Indian folk art, but it is also practiced as a mural art by tribal people in India. And they paint this on their mud clay houses on the walls. And to get that aspect of the folk art and the mural aspect, I create a special background to paint my painting. So as you can see here, this one has a lot of sand, a lot of glass beads to create that rough stucco effect on canvas. And then painting is done through acrylic paint and 000 brush. Now here you can see how the characters are created by using just triangles and circles. So when you see Warli paintings for very first time, it doesn't look much. It just looks like character dancing, but when you give a closer look, it is so much more than just an art form. It's the way of life. And you can see here that how I have tried to capture. The painting is called Summer Afternoon, and I tried to capture the entire essence of summer in this one painting. And the painting is done in about like 6 months because it's telling stories. So it takes time to create stories. And here you can see, and you know, again, it's a community art. So a lot of times my kids, my family help me create those stories. So with this painting, I also create a lot of memories. It's embedded with a lot of love and nurture and fun times that we have spent together. So you can see here, this was 2019 summer, and we have recently moved to this house, and there is a Roastery Park nearby, and they have an outdoor concert which we attended a whole lot. We like to dance whenever there is a music in our backyard. We have a little tree swing, and we did a lot of picnics. We went out. This was the first year we went for fishing and kayaking, and you can see a little aspects of that. My kids love swimming, so here it is. And then, you know, campfires. So it's a story, like campfire, dancing. Here is our little backyard and all the things we did in the backyard. We catch butterflies, barbecuing, and a lot of this is our stream that runs through our backyard. Now my little guy, here's how the community worked. Like my little guy asked me that I never paint spider webs, which we have tons in this neck of wood, and here is a little spider web. So it's constantly growing form of art. The painting is never done. It just keeps on going and going.
That's a question.
Yes.
I love the dark backgrounds with the lighter or colored foreground. It's very, it is a very negative space effect. Is that traditional to Warli painting, or is that specific to your style?
So Warli is done as a mural art, and it's done on the walls that are, the houses are made up of clay and bricks. So normally they would be brown and they paint with white rice paste, adding some gunpowder for binding. So I try to adhere that aspect of the style. So most of my paintings are either brown and white. Sometimes they're blue and white, black and white. So just trying to get that aspect of the folk art. And that's why it is normally earthy tone painting. So here's another one that I would like to draw some attention on. It's called Humming, and this one is a fun story. I always, as I talked about soaring, through our travels I have seen starling, the flock of starling flying in the sky and create that beautiful pattern. And again, it's such a liberating, organic, liberating feelings, and that's what I was trying to capture through this painting. And if you can come close,
Sure.
To create that huge flock, there is a layers and layers of birds painted. So the white is on the superficial, but if you can see, there's a lot more depth to this piece. And here's the two small ones. This is spring morning, and this is spring afternoon, and this is another spring painting. But as you can see, everything has, when you look closer, when you spend some time together with the painting, you start seeing things that you missed the first time, and it's because it's a novel, it's a conversational piece. It just creates the conversation and excitement that you saw something that you missed last time. And as you can see, everything is done with two basic shapes, is circles and triangles and square. So the cohesion is there. Here's a painting that I'm super excited, and I have been working over this for 10 days. It is still in progress, but this is, as you can see.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is the tree, and the story that I'm trying to portray here is new beginning. It's everything is new coming out. The spring is coming soon. Hope this unprecedented time will go and the new time will come up, and that's what is bringing this painting together. And you can see there's eggs, the tree, the flowers are not yet, but they are budding. Lot of greeneries down there, and I wanted to add some more birds, and we'll see where it goes, but that's the new excitement. And as you can see here also, there's a lot of texture to create that canvas stucco effect to the painting. And here's a delicate tree trunk, as you can see. Can you come closer to the trunk?
Just a second, let me just.
So this one is a little different than other. It's all about symmetry, and similar to humming, I would say. But there's a lot of uniformity in this particular piece. Can you get the delicate lines of the trunks?
Sure.
And if you go far, we can capture the symmetry of the tree and the vastness of the piece. So Warli is, as I said, is a mural painting, and the one thing is, the bigger the painting is, the more magical it becomes, and that's why my Warli paintings are usually huge like. That's where I go big. There's a question.
What will you do next on this piece?
I was actually thinking, I'm still pondering, I'm thinking to add birds. They are rising up. And another thought is maybe to create a little water body and some families, the bird families in it. But yeah, the birds will definitely be coming soon. Any more questions? Here are some few little colorful pieces. That's my strawberry finch. A little peacock. So these are some of my smaller pieces. They're inspired by either kalamkari or Warli, and they're all available on my website. So if you want to take a closer look, please check out my website. It's www.renalpuri.com. So now, Dhwani, let's come over to my desk and let's do a little painting. Yes.
Question: are the colorful pieces still in the Warli tradition?
No, they are not. So normally I paint two styles of paintings. Some of them are kalamkari and madhubani based painting. Those are also a kind of Indian folk art that I often use to portray my birds and animals. And those paintings are very colorful. Traditionally in India, they're used as textile paintings, and here are a few. And another style I use is Warli, and that's what we were talking today about, is Warli and how I tell stories through Warli, how I take community help, especially my friends and families, to create the piece, which is, each and every piece is unique. So here's what I'm working today. So I'm trying to work on this little diptych, and my thought was, so here, if you can, Tony, come here and see, there is a beautiful texture that you can see since it's on cover. There's a lot of gesso, a lot of stucco, there's sand. This one doesn't have hay, but I do often use hay to create that mud clay earthy texture to my piece. And these are all canvas paintings. So this one, and this is a different color scheme which I normally don't go with, but this one is a little different. I was trying to portray some interesting springy painting. So here it is, and my thought was to make a little water body with a lot of trees and create so we live close to Ridley Park, and I was trying to create Ridley Creek for this painting, and kids playing there and a lot of trails, and so here it is. So the painting is done. Once I create my stucco effect on my canvas, I paint them with acrylic, and now this one is lighter color, so I'm going to paint with black acrylic paint. And again, I talk to people, get the ideas, and try to incorporate in these paintings. Normally these paintings go really slow because, again, as I said, it's writing a novel, so it takes me really long to create a piece where I can say I'm done and I'm happy with it. So it's fun. A little history about this particular style of painting is, as I mentioned multiple times in the beginning, that this is one of the oldest form of art in the history, and that is because there are some caves that are now UNESCO's World Heritage Site, and there is an archaeological excavation going on, and they found the painting dating about in 10th century, 10,000-year-old paintings. And the paintings do explain the human evolution, the early human living, and it's fun. The place, it's in India, it's called Bhimbetka Caves, and they are the rock shelters. Yes, there's a question.
How long did it take you to get so fluid with such fine tip brush strokes?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, how should I put it? Since I started painting, I always use tiny brushes. It's now hard for me to try bigger brushes. I have tried in past. The funny story, in 2019, I had a solo show at the Duke Gallery at Community Arts Center of Wallingford, and I painted 10 feet mural. And since it was a 10 feet large Warli mural, I started with number 6 brush, and things didn't work out at all. So finally, we repainted the wall and end up going with number 2 brush. So I'm learning to use larger brushes.
The second question.
Sure.
Do you practice the shapes off canvas before you move to your finished canvas?
No, I don't. So here's the practice that I normally do when I'm doing bigger Warli painting is I start thinking about the piece and only start painting when I feel like I'm fully ready. And at that point too, I use a lot of post-it notes and place it on my canvas that this is where this story is going to go, this is where this story is going, and then I start composing. So there is no rough sketch or anything before I am committed to the canvas. So it's in all it's kind of an organic process. I paint as I think, and that's why I like to paint extended hours. Like, I don't like to paint for 2 hours and stop. When I'm painting, I'm really painting. So it can be like 8-10 hours stretch where I'm continuously painting, because it's all in my head and I don't want to, miss my thoughts. And so oftentimes it happens when I stop, and when I come back to the canvas again, the stories has been moved, and then you get into all those nitty-gritties and problems. So I try to work in a one stretch as much as I can. So these are little tree leaves that I'm working. So here I'm going to put let's put some bird nest here. And as you can see, I love to work flat. It just gives me a lot of control with my brush instead of working vertically like most people do. I prefer working horizontally.
There's a question.
Sure.
How do you keep your hand from smearing when you've all recently worked?
Well, I strategically paint them. So like if I'm painting, I go from right to left. So and that's how the post-it notes helps me to, not creating smudges. Just because I'm showing demo, I'm all over the place, but normally it is very strategically done so that it's better controlled.
Question: how do you keep your hand from smearing when you're doing something wet?
And then you just share the question.
And then
And another thing it helps me is working flat. So usually I can rotate my canvas. I have a bigger table, so I can usually rotate my table so that it won't cause any smudges.
She says, and your sweater is so clean, light blue, which is very brave.
Well, that is brave, and let me tell you that these are not my studio clothes. They are really dirty, but I wanted to look fancy today. So here's a little tree that I worked on, and I wanted to show you a little bit more about how I create the story. So, and I'm thinking, since there is a water body, maybe there might be some couple sitting on the rock. Now, one thing is very interesting when it comes to Warli. Warli, as you saw, all the characters are made up of triangles. By joining the triangle, and the top part is torso and the bottom part is pelvic, but to show a male figure, the torso is bigger, so the upper triangle is a little bit bigger than the bottom triangle, whereas in female, the top triangle is a little bit narrower than the bottom triangle. So that's how you can differentiate between the male character and female character in Warli. So this is male. And next to him is going to be our female character. So as a science person, these are very intriguing points that, you know, like normally you don't even would think about them. And as I said, the Warli doesn't have any perspective or proportion, so you can play with the proportion, and I think that's what makes this style so unique and interesting, because every stories within the story has a different perspective and different way of looking them. I'm going to cover this black dot into a rock.
There's one question.
Sure.
How do you prepare the background for this one? The subtle variations of texture and light green color.
So here, to create this particular background, I used a couple of different paints together. I used white, and I used light bliss yellow, and the third color was lemon green, yellow green. And I mixed all the colors together and created the variation for this background. So even though, I know we didn't talk about it, even though they look very plain colored, but when you look those Warli paintings, especially mine, up close, there's a lot of variation to the colors. And I think you can, you can point out the summer afternoon, and you can see there are tons of, it's all brown, but there's tons of different brown.
Yeah, like here we have the lighter tone, and as you go, this is a darker patch.
So to just create this brown background, I use the reds, there is yellow, there is ochre yellow, there is brown, there is black. You can see a lot of yellow here. So there's red clearly, you can see here. So all of those, even the blacks are not blacks, and that's what creates an interesting background. So when you see under different light, it does give you a different looks. Like this one, I don't know, can you see here? Like here you can see a subtle variation. I think maybe the water is more helpful. Like there is a lot of different blues used to create this one particular color, which just looks blue maybe on the camera, but yeah, I think we can get some.
Yeah.
The blue one is a little harder than the brown one. But all the paintings has a lot of, the background has a lot of different colors to create that depth and the layering effect to the piece. So here you can see much better because it's
lighter.
It is right. It is lighter, and still it is not work. So once it is work, it just comes out as a whole painting. Like I think you can point the green. It has almost a similar color scheme, but you can see this is how this particular piece is going to look once it's finished. Can we get the color tones or no?
I think, yeah, we did.
Do you want me to lift it?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
We have the greens, yellows, and whites.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is a very similar base color as this one. So this is my normal practice. I start telling stories to myself, like what else would you do at the creek? So my kids love to throw stones in the creek. So that might be a fun character to add to the piece. As you can see how I just, the triangle, the way they are connected, it's a little bend which helps us give the effect that he's throwing. Let me show you how.
There's one question.
Sure.
What kind of paint are you using now?
It's black acrylic paint. And the background is painted with black, yellow, all the different acrylic paints as well.
Two more questions.
Sure.
Are birds the most common animal in Warli painting, or is that a personal preference?
That is a personal preference, but in general, the Warli paintings, the traditional motif of Warli paintings are nature, rituals, ceremonies, farming, hunting. So the painting is done by women of this tribe, and the way it's done is it's like a book club. They come together and decorate each other's house, and they paint what they see because they are cut off from the urban part of the country. So it's basically that's their exposure. So they paint what they see, and the subjects are normally nature and house day-to-day activities and weddings and celebration. A lot of dance, and their tribal dance I think is called Chorba, where they the musician plays music in the center and the people dance around him. What was the other question?
All acrylic paint. Can you tell us why you don't use pens?
That's a good question. I really don't know. It's just an affinity with the brush, the feeling of brush and controlling that is so much more satisfying than pens.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
In India, would this type of painting be found as murals on pottery or on clothing or fabric? Wondering if it is always produced as an individual painting.
So in India, Warli has taken mainstream. It was noticed after sometimes in 1970s, and since then the Warli has become one of the mainstream folk art, and you can see a lot of potteries designed, painted with Warli forms, a lot of fabrics, household objects. The Warlis are everywhere. Even Coca-Cola launched a huge campaign, I think back in 2003, and it's called Come Celebrate Diwali Home or something like that, and where they used Warli painting, and the ad was geared to younger generations. So now in recent times, Warli has taken a mainstream form of art, but traditionally it's a mural form of art. So here are some friends. throwing rocks. So rocks will eventually land in the water. Maybe not today, but yes. So that's happening. So what else do we do at this stream? Maybe people would like to do a little swimming. And again, as you can see, it's all triangles and circles.
Here's one question.
Go ahead.
Has the seclusion of the current pandemic impacted your sense of the party atmosphere in the paintings? Has it changed the stories in your mind?
I would not say it has, but it has, to me, it made me appreciate little things. It made me appreciate my family more than ever. The small things. It's not about big things. It's all about small moments that we cherish. And you can see that in my paintings. All my recent painting is all about those small moments and trying to capture them and enjoy them. So in a way, I'm happy that it gave me a chance to see that and appreciate that. How are we doing in time?
I think it's 5. It's almost time.
Okay. So, I hope you are enjoyed my little presentation talk on Warli and how I tell my stories, share my emotion through this style of folk art. It's very special art to me. It helps me capture all those moments and tell my audience about that through the painting. So I hope you enjoyed it. And again, Rittenhouse Square is accepting application for the September show. Our deadline is March 8th. So I hope you all apply. The application can be found through Zapplication. You'll be needing 4 images of your recent artwork, and your booth. So please apply. If you have any question, please forward us to help you apply for the show. Next week, starting from next week, we'll be having some interviews scheduled on our Instagram to help you with the process, to answer any questions that you may have on applying for the show. So I hope you will join us on Instagram and please apply, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.